This module, we are going to talk about play skills and some unusual interests or behaviors that may happen with a child or adult with autism. One of the things is that they may show an unusual attachment to toys, objects, or routines. They may spend time lining things up or putting things in a certain order, especially toys, and they might only make sense to them as the order that they put them in. They may get stuck doing the same thing over and over and they can't move on to other things, which often they will perseverate on a topic that they are really interested in or a toy. They may line up toys or other objects. They may play with toys the same way every time, and it may look very different than it would for a typical child. And often they may flap their hands or rock their body or spin in circles as well as a calming mechanism. So here are some examples as well on the left. Sometimes they will need a visual, which is what we call these, the picture and a word that it might say whose turn it is. If you're trying to play a game, you may need to line up exactly what you are hoping that they will do. I want more, or I want to play a game. Some children also have a device, which you can see on the right, that may have some ideas of something they want to play with, or that it's their turn, which can be a device or it could also be an iPad as well. Here are some examples of this. On the left this is Courtney. And on the left, when Courtney was younger, she could put together a 50-piece puzzle, knew all the states, knew all the capitals when she was 7, but she had to be taught how to, give a doll a bottle or how to play in a play kitchen. And in the right, as you can see, she's not playing with the toys in the sandbox. She's just putting the sand on her for sensory input, which is also a calming mechanism sometimes for those who need calming and are able to use the texture of the sand to do that as well. On the left, this is one of the odd objects that was of interest to Courtney. She'd always carry around a empty milk jug, empty dishwashing liquid jug, something of interest that she could squeeze. And that was something that she enjoyed having.
And then the photo on the right is, this is Gibson, and this is kind of an example of how he would line up toys instead of, playing with them like you might see a typical child play with. You can see that there's Little People, My Little Ponies, those toys that kids love, but this is the way he would generally choose to play with them, and he would put them all in an order that would make sense to him. And so that, this might be something that you would see rather than that typical pretend play that you would generally see. The picture on the right on the left is another example of lining things up, which is, can be a common behavior. This is Harper, and this was at a wedding that she was attending, where she kind of picked up all of those figurines and started lining them up. The photo on the right is a pumpkin that she kind of grew attached to, and rather than a toy or a doll, she carried that around with her for a couple weeks. And so that's kind of an example of they may fixate on a certain thing. They may grow attached to an object that is not a typical object, and so that might be another thing that you'll see.
Another thing to remember is when they line things up or they have their own system, if something is missing or somebody moves something, it can be upsetting to them. So sometimes you need to keep that in mind as well.